Hi everyone, this is Tom Allen here, and I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Welcome to 2018. I hope you all had a fantastic holiday. Also, I'm really sorry that it's been a long time since I've done a Guestsheaux review. My god, a new year already? And I'm just going through January just eating the leftover chocolates from Christmas. God, I really need to do some exercise. But you're not interested in that. You want to see the new Guestsheaux review I put together. So, for this month's Guestsheaux, I hear that Bob Show wants us to review a film that he's already reviewed, but we disagree with him on. Well, I think I have just the film. Felidae is a 2D German animated film that was released in 1994.
It's not for kids. Alright?
The film is based on the novel of the same name by A.K. Perinki, which was published in 1989. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's see what the cat dragged in. This is Felidae. So our story begins with a man and his pet cat moving into a new home. The cat's name is Francis, and I can't say I blame him for not being too keen on his new home. His owner, Gus, is a writer who writes romance stories for magazines. As they arrive, Francis discovers a very strange smell coming from below the house. He then meets another cat by the name of Bluebeard, and also they both come across a dead cat's body. Bluebeard reckons that a human did this, but Francis thinks differently.
I don't think a can opener did it. This brother's throat's been shredded, not cut.
And he's the fourth in the last month.
Do you mean it's the fourth dead body?
I guess you're new on the block. Hey, little smartass. What do they call you?
Francis.
Francis.
Feeling curious, Francis decides to check out the neighbourhood. He notices that a nameplate is missing from the house. Later that night, he tries to get some sleep, but unfortunately, he ends up having a nightmare. You know what? I really have to credit the animation crew for this superb animation. Yes, it's haunting, creepy, and has very disturbing imagery, but it's animated so beautifully. So the next day, we find out that there's been another killing, and Bluebeard takes Francis to the victim's corpse, but along the way...
Bluebeard!
What the hell is that?
I see you've been cruising the gay scene for a change. That cute little thing behind you sure is a juicy number.
That cannot be a cat. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at the size of it! So yeah, this is Kong, and he looks very freaky.
I won't stand by and watch three take on one. So okay, come and get it, asshole.
No, Bluebeard, are you crazy? But then eventually, Kong backs off. Oh, thank God for that. So eventually, they come to the victim's corpse, and Francis deduces that sex could be the reason for these killings.
In order to crack this case, I've got to meet as many of our brothers as I can in this godforsaken neighborhood.
Bluebeard then tells Francis that he'll take him to see another cat who could help him to try and solve the mystery behind these killings. And later that night, this happens.
Hallelujah! Come into the light in the name of Cloudandus!
Francis comes across a cat cult, but then eventually, Francis soon gets discovered.
Uh-oh, spaghetti-o!
And he's chased by the sect. Thankfully, he manages to get away, and he comes across another character named Felicity, who is blind.
Do you ever go out?
No. Though not a day of my life goes by, not one day that I haven't wished I could see this world, evil and cruel though it is.
I'm sorry.
Why? There are much worse things, Francis. We can get used to anything. Except having to live in a dog kennel, possibly.
You know what? I really like the character Felicity. She's very sweet, very gentle, and even though they've just met, I really do love the chemistry that she and Francis have together. So we find out that Felicity had the same nightmare that Francis did, and she explains to him what's been happening. She also tells him about the cat cult, which are referred to as the Cloudandus sect.
They pray to a dead martyr called Cloudandus, a brother, who lived round here many years ago and was tortured by men all his life. Tormented horribly.
We also find out that the cult has been going on for quite a while, and the preacher's name is Father Joker. And we also find out that Claudandis is Latin for he who should or must be sealed. The next day, Bluebeard introduces Francis to another cat named Pascal. His owner is a scientist called Zebold, and he even knows how to use computer. What a clever cat. He uses the computer to try and keep a track on the murderer. He also keeps a database of all the cats who live in the neighbourhood, and keeps a list of the cats that have been murdered.
I haven't yet added the 6th victim to the list.
There's been another? Felicity!
What? Sorry guys, I care about you too much, so... No, not Felicity! Francis vows to find out who was responsible for killing Felicity, and he starts to wonder, could the murderer be watching his every move? And later again, he has yet another nightmare. And once again, this animation is absolutely fantastic, even though it's very shocking and disturbing. Whilst carrying on with solving the mystery, Francis finds some rats to eat. And he also comes across a VCR which plays some very interesting videotapes. The tapes include video diaries of experiments on cats that were led by a professor called Preterius. Okay, I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to drink alcohol while you're carrying out scientific experiments. We see that they find a stray cat who becomes their mascot for conducting experiments, and they name him, interesting enough, Claudandis.
Thanks to my ingenious breeding program, some of the females have produced kittens, thus ensuring a supply of subjects for the future. I wonder if you're still capable of producing offspring, Claudandis. Suddenly, I have a vision of a new, entirely unique, extraordinary race of cats.
Uh-oh, someone's gone a bit cuckoo. Oh god, not you again. So Kong and his gang chase after Francis, but then, like I said before, I care about you too much.
Oh my god.
Solitaire!
So we find out that the latest victim was related to Kong. At that same time, they come across another cat. Francis follows him to try and learn more. He refers to himself as the guardian of the dead, who was looked after by Father Joker.
This temple had been his home for years when he rescued me in my need. All at once I heard the voice of the Lord from on high. He said, I had been chosen to be the guardian of the dead, and must never again return to the world of light. But now everything has changed, for I haven't heard the prophet's voice for a long time, nor does he send the dead to their kingdom. I have been forsaken.
Can you tell me something about the victims? I mean, were they sisters and brothers who'd been sexually excited?
That was often the case, my friend. But others, horribly mutilated, also came to the temple.
Were there any that were pregnant?
Many. Oh, yes. Many.
So we find out that these murders have been going on longer than we thought. And after that, Francis has yet another dream. But thankfully this time round, it's not as disturbing as the last two dreams. So Francis wakes up from his sleep as he hears someone calling his name. And this happens.
I've been really trying, baby, trying to hold back this feeling for so long. And if you feel like I feel, baby, then come on. Oh, come on. Woo. Let's get it on.
No, Francis, don't do it. It's a trap. Okay, doesn't Francis think to himself this is a little bit suspicious? So yeah, he makes love to a random cat, who apparently turns out to be a new breed of cat. But it just comes out of nowhere. He doesn't even know her.
Where have you come from? Who are you?
Who am I? What a quaint old-fashioned question to ask me.
He just sees her and then makes love. It just comes right out of nowhere. It doesn't further the story. Yeah, so overall, it's kind of pointless. So, after what we just saw, Francis starts to think that Joker could be a possible suspect. He gets Bluebeard to try and find him, while he goes to see Pascal to tell him what he's found out. Then wondering if Joker could possibly be the killer. but unfortunately Bluebeard can't find Joker. They also find out that Pascal has stomach cancer and only has 6 months left to live. So later that night, a meeting is held with all the cats in the neighbourhood to try and bring further light to the case. It turns out that the murders are connected with the events that occurred in the laboratory.
Experiments some of you here were subjected to, though you may not remember it now.
I know a good many of you, my friends, revere the prophet Claudandus, who died on the table of Professor Praetorius.
However, a kitten who turns out to be Father Joker's great-granddaughter reveals that Claudandus isn't dead.
He told me that Claudandus challenged the monster to a fight in the end and killed him.
So they go back to Joker's place again, only to find out that he's been killed.
This killing wasn't like the others. It had been an execution. Joker hadn't even struggled. He'd consented to it. What was so incredibly important that Joker would sacrifice himself? Claudandus. He must be alive.
Well, the plot thickens. So after that, Francis tries to put all the pieces together. He finds out that Pascal's carer, Siebold, was a huge admirer of Gregor Mendel, the founder of genetics. We also find out that the female cat who we saw earlier on in a particular scene was meant to breed with the other tomcats in order to return their kind to their original forms.
All the clues in my dreams that I ignored. My original nightmare. The murderer isn't a psychopath.
Is that her?
No, that's just the model. For breeding that'll return us to our original form. Proud, dangerous Felidae.
So later on, Francis and Bluebeard go back to Pascal's place. Francis finds the computer and accesses the database.
Now I understood. The killer's mission was to see to it that females chosen to re-establish Felidae mated only with racially suitable males. Any brother outside this category with ambitions to get in the way of that.
Have you solved the puzzle now?
So it's at this point that we find out that Pascal is actually Claudandus himself, and his plan all along has been trying to reverse the cycle of history and returning their race back to their original forms. He sees this as his revenge against mankind. He says that Francis will become his successor after he dies, but Francis refuses, and ultimately a big fight takes place. This will be the last time, I promise.
Oh my god.
So as Claudandus is finally defeated, we find out that Bluebeard had been previously attacked by Claudandus, and Francis comes to his rescue.
He lost his innocence. Bluebeard. As man has lost his.
When will we learn? So after all of that, the film finally concludes with Francis solving the case and him getting together with that cat who we only just saw in one scene.
Don't give up on the idea of a world in which all animals and people can live together. Perhaps we all need to evolve, to grow a bit more. Maybe we all need to grow into Felidae.
So guys, that was Felidae. So, what did I think of the film? Well, call me crazy. As disturbing and also gruesome as it can be, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very interesting and very gripping story. I especially loved the characters, especially the dynamic between Bluebeard and Francis. It can be very funny at times. And the animation is just phenomenal. The voice acting is also very impressive. I thought that the actors all did a phenomenal job, and they all sounded like real people, not just typical cartoon voices. In that way, it just made the film feel a bit more authentic. Even though I enjoyed this film, I can completely understand and appreciate that it's not going to be to everyone's taste. One of the few things that I really didn't like about it was how they wasted the character of Felicity. I really grew to like her, and it's such a shame that she was just killed off just like that. And of course, that pointless sex scene. It just felt completely unnecessary. That character just comes out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, she and Francis are together at the end of the film. Oh yeah, that's a great relationship. I really do wish that Felicity had still been alive. I really would have loved to have seen her and Francis solve the case together. They could have developed a really strong bond. And even if you did want to kill Felicity off, why not leave it to the very end? So in that way, we're more emotionally invested for Francis. But despite those minor nitpicks, I really enjoyed this film. It can be pretty disturbing and gruesome at times, but I would definitely recommend it for anyone who's a fan of animation. Just check it out and decide for yourself. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was really good fun to come back for another guest show. And I hope you all have a fantastic 2018. Go ahead and make it a good one. So I'm going to be signing off now, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
He needs adventure. Adventure means trouble. 9 lives is cool if you're using the wise. Just look at this place.